Hey buddy, I'm Dave with Growing the Home Garden. Today I'm going to go through and transplant some of my hydrangea cuttings. Actually, one of them is an oak leaf hydrangea that I did from seed, but the rest are all cuttings that you've seen on other videos here before. One is an oak leaf hydrangea cutting. The others are a typical hydrangea macrophylla. So let's get into it. Let me show you what I'm doing. So here basically I am doing a third mixture here of, this is peat, and these are bark shavings and compost, which I dumped a bag of black cow compost down here in the bottom of this wheelbarrow. So I'm just going to turn it over, mix them up really good before I actually put them into pots. So wheelbarrows are pretty useful for this because it's a big container that you can just flip and turn. Now the black cow compost got very wet and moist, so I'm hoping that the dry peat and the dry wood chips actually work to kind of offset each other and make a good balance. I don't really want all this clumpiness that's in here in the compost, so I'm going to kind of keep working until I've got it less clumpy. Now and then you find little things like this. It's a snail shell. Let's get rid of that. We don't want snails in our plants. So that's probably good enough. We got some clumps, but we just won't use the clumps. We'll use more of the finely broken down stuff. Okay, so here you can see some of these cuttings, and I should have transplanted these a long time ago. I've got them in these core pots. That one didn't turn out. But right here, they have kind of move their root system right through this, and I'm going to try to gently pry these apart. You can see, look at how good they've done. They've got several different branches coming off of that, and these will just look great. There's even a little sprout coming up here from the root structure. So we've got a few of those to plant. Here is the oak leaf hydrangea. There were a couple more, but sometimes cuttings don't make it. But you can see that one is just doing beautifully. It will be a very nice looking plant later on when it grows fully, and that's why we're transplanting it. And then over here is the oak leaf hydrangea that came from seed. So I'm really happy with that. Those are very cool. So all we're going to do is we're going to put these in the pots. I'm not going to separate out the coconut pot here because that's going to be porous enough. You can see roots are coming through the sides on it. And these are really great for seed starting, especially if you're doing like vegetable gardening, because you can put your transplants into these, and then when they're big enough, just plop them right into the ground. Great for tomatoes and stuff. Now here is one. Looks like it's not going to make it at all. It died for some reason, but it was pretty well rooted. Not sure. Actually, let me check. Yeah, looks like it had some damage here, like maybe something was eating along the stem area, which happens, and kind of girdled it. So we will get rid of that one as well. But we're going to go ahead and transplant these. We're just going to use slightly larger pots. Something about this size here. You notice just a little bit larger than that, but it's a lot deeper, so it gives them the roots some more depth to go downward. And then we'll probably have to transplant it again in the spring. My goal for these is to move them over to our new property eventually, and hopefully that'll be by fall of next year, in which case I won't need to upsize them. I'll be able to just kind of plant them right in. So I'm going to make sure that when I plant it, that the soil surface is just even all the way through here. If you can see that again. So the soil, I want right around here, even with what's in this pot there. This may stick up just a little bit, but it's going to degrade over time. Now one thing you can do if you got these core pots and they're flexible, you can push them outward. So you kind of pull them away from the plant, and then you can backfill right on top. And that works pretty well. Now hydrangeas root so easy, so if you do push this up a little bit higher, it's not a big deal. They will probably create more roots right around the trunk area, which may indeed make for a stronger plant later on. So there's one piece of cake. We'll do the same thing for some of these others as well. We'll do the oak leaf hydrangea next, so we can go ahead and get that in. And then show you the little baby seedling oak leaf hydrangea here in a minute. So this one, you can see that the core pot has degraded quite a bit. Just going to make sure we get all the roots in here. Just like that. Looks pretty good. And we just backfill around it. There is nothing complicated to transplanting a plant. But I know you guys like to see some of the results of things that get done and to make sure that things actually work out. But you can see here, oak leaf hydrangeas do work from cuttings. The other hydrangea cuttings that we did earlier last year did well as well. So it looks like we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 regular hydrangeas and 1 oak leaf hydrangea. I usually have more trouble with the oak leaf hydrangeas than regular hydrangeas. They tend to be a little bit more challenging. So again. Now, for overwintering hydrangeas, I just leave them outdoors. I don't do anything special. They are hardy to our area, so they shouldn't have any trouble coming back in these pots from year to year. The one thing I do have to watch out for are deer and rabbits, and making sure that they don't get into the plants. Also squirrels. Squirrels keep coming in and destroying a lot of my cuttings just because they're looking for places to either hide their food over the winter or looking for food that they already hid. So here is the seedling. I'm going to gently pull it out. Sometimes if you squeeze a pot from the exterior, it loosens it up just enough. So I'm going to carefully do that. You can see the root systems are looking pretty good. They're small, but they're looking good. This one was one that germinated this year, so it's not very old at all. But I want to boost up the soil level here now. Okay, we're going to make sure that the crown of that is toward the top and just kind of backfill around it gently. Okay, and if any roots pop out, you can kind of tuck them in. So here we go. It's pretty simple and easy to do that. And that one will eventually generate the typical oak leaf hydrangea leaves that you see here. As a little baby, it doesn't quite look the same. Nope, got too much in for that one. Let me use a smaller one then. So, and if you haven't watched the video on propagating hydrangeas, check out the link above. I'll go ahead and post that there for you so you can go check that out next. And I'll also put it in the description, so if you want to go over to that, you can do that too. And I reuse a lot of pots and keep them around for a good period of time, because you never know when you need some pots. Look at all those roots there. That one's done really well. I may have to transplant that one into a bigger pot sooner than I think. Truthfully, I should have repotted these probably in the spring, because they were ready to go, but it's been a very busy year. And here's the last one. Sometimes weeds pop up, so pull those out when you're transplanting. And I think, yep, that was just right. Now as you water them, they will settle in. The soil may come back down a level. So what you do there is you just add a little bit more to the top of the soil until it's level with the crown. And the crown is that part where it's normally, where it kind of changes between the root system and the stem. So I'm going to make sure that this little one right here, this little sprout, has a little bit of light to grow. And that's really all there is to it. So the next step, just coming in here with the garden hose, giving them a good watering, and then setting them back underneath the trees so that they can kind of rest up through the winter. They will do just fine over the winter. You can see a lot of it is already hardened off. This new growth hopefully will harden off in the next couple weeks before we get a major frost, which is coming because we're here in the middle of October right now, and it's only a matter of a few days to a couple weeks before we get something. So I'm Dave with Growing the Home Garden. If you enjoyed this and want to see more garden videos, please hit the like button and subscribe, and feel free to share it around with people who might find it interesting as well. So thanks for watching.